Mabuhay everyone! Happy National Heritage Month. It is the month of May, and here in the Philippines, we celebrate National Heritage Month every May. Right, so for this episode of my blog, my name is Margo Kamaya, youtube.com/Margo Kamaya. We will be focusing on 5 artists. So these are my recommendations in terms of books about these 5 Filipino artists. So first artist that we will be talking about is Damian Domingo. Right. So this is Damian Domingo. So Damian Domingo. What should we know about Damian Domingo? So Damian Domingo is the first ever Filipino who opened an art school in the Philippines during the early part of the 19th century, about 1820s. I think it was in 1821 or 1822, if I'm not mistaken, that he opened the first art school in the Philippines. He wasn't trained abroad, unlike Juan Luna and Felix Resurrection Hidalgo. He wasn't trained abroad. He was actually trained by being an apprentice for other Filipino master artists. Okay, but he created and opened the Philippine Art School. It closed down when he died, but a decade or two later, it was reopened again by the Spanish government. Right? So a lot of our artists, Filipino artists, after Damian Domingo, studied in the school that he first created. So what's important? Another important thing to know about Damian Domingo, as we all know, during the period before photography, a lot of people were curious. No, not just Filipinos, but people in Europe, people in maybe in the United States were curious about the Pearl of the Orient. So the closest thing that, if you are a wealthy person, the closest thing that you can have in visiting the Philippines is by commissioning a painter or an artist for an album. And these albums were called Tipos del País, or Scenes of the Countryside. So it will have people who were living in the Philippines, what do they wear, scenes and landscapes of the country as well. So an example would be, so the albums he created were very famous. I know of that there is an album that is existing in Ayala Museum. They were able to purchase an album by Damian Domingo. So this is an example of a Damian Domingo Tipos del País. Show it to you. So I just need to be very careful. Alright. Okay. So you might have seen this in the internet. You know, there's a lot of copies and photographs showing this. I bought this book in National Bookstore, but you can also buy it in Vidal bookstore online, or online bookstore. Okay. I just recently found out, or a week ago, Vibal came out with a more slim version of this, and I think it's just less than 500 pesos. Okay. Next artist, he also became popular during the 19th century. He's more into sculpture, and his name is Isabella Tampico. So he was a very famous sculptor during the mid-19th century until the early 20th century. Even his 2 sons became sculptures. They had a very famous atelier or workshop. Okay, I think it was open until the 1940s or 50s, and then their heirs sold it off or closed it and then sold off the business. So Isabella Tampico is very, very popular because of his floral and fauna designs. He popularized the the design, the Filipino, including the featuring the Philippine fauna or floral motifs, and that you can see in the Philippines. Sorry. All right. And then nice thing about Isabella Tampinco and his sons is that there is a special exhibit or display found in the National Museum of the Philippines in Manila. So there is a hallway wherein you can see the different sculptures that father and sons created. And another trivia is that when you go to the Botong Francisco mural exhibit or mural room in National Museum of the Fine Arts, I think it's on the 4th floor or 5th floor. That used to be the old legislative conference room or building. Sorry, room. And then the sculptures or the pediments near the ceilings were created by Isabella and his sons. Okay. I'll just show you some photos of the creation of Isabella. So I think this is in one of the Intramuros churches. Okay, so I just forgot which church, but unfortunately, a lot of his creations in church or religious creations were destroyed during World War II. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is the San Ignacio Church in Intramuros, the Jesuit church. Let's see. Oh, no, sorry. This is the Manila Cathedral. Manila Cathedral. And then some more works. Okay. Isabella Tampinco. Okay. Another one. Look. So, if you are interested in sculpture, so Isabella Tampinco. Third artist. Okay. He's a pioneer. He's a maestro. And his name is Fabian de la Rosa. So he was able to mentor a lot of artists who became national artists, who became very famous painters and artists during the 20th century. He's actually an uncle of Fernando Amorsolo and his brother Pablo. Okay, so Fabian de la Rosa also became the second director of the University of the Philippines Fine Arts School. So this is a series of articles about Fabian de la Rosa. So he's known for his landscapes, use of lights. Okay. So some of you might think, oh, okay, very familiar. Again, Amorsolo. He was able to mentor a lot of the younger artists or the artists who came after him. Again, some of his works are featured in the National Museum of Fine Arts in Manila. So that's what's nice about Isabella Tampinco and also Fabian de la Rosa, because some of their works are displayed in the National Museum. I also forgot that there is a Damian Domingo painting also in the National Museum. It is located in the religious exhibit. If I'm not mistaken, if it's either on the 1st floor or 2nd floor of the gallery or of the museum. Okay, the 4th artist. So for those who love comics, for those who love drawings, so we have Francisco Coching. Okay. 2 years ago, the Ayala Museum had a special exhibit featuring Francisco Coching. And if I remember correctly, it was one of my plans, because it was December. It was one of my plan or items to visit during my December trip to Manila. Unfortunately, during that time, I really had a nasty flu, and I wasn't able to go to Ayala Museum to see the Francisco Coching exhibit. So Francisco Coching was also a national artist. He became a national artist for visual arts. Okay. So see, nice, right? So I'm not sure if he's also known as the father of comics, or if that crown was given to to another Filipino cartoonist or artist. So here. Okay, so that's Francisco Coching. And then finally, we go to 20th century modern art. So E. Aguilar Cruz. He's a writer as well as a painter, and his son is Larry Cruz, who's a very popular restaurateur. Okay, so this book is written by, or biography by, Ambet Ocampo. So it's a reprint. I bought this in Anahaw bookstore, or Anahaw Books. It's an online shop. Okay, so modernist painter. To tell you the truth, I'm not really a fan of modern art. The reason I bought this, well, you know, E. Aguilar Cruz is Kapampangan. I love Larry Cruz's restaurants. But another reason is because it's written by Ambeto Campo. Okay. Again, we're very lucky because there is actually a room. It's just a recent addition. There's a room dedicated to E. Aguilar Cruz. So some of his paintings, some of his personal items were loaned by his family to the National Museum. So they created a special exhibit. So I'm not sure if it's a permanent exhibit or just for a period of time. So the last time I was in the National Museum, last December 2019, I saw the exhibit for E.A. Cruz or E. Aguilar Cruz. So aren't we very lucky that all of these 5 artists that we are featuring, or we are featuring in this vlog, they have some of their works displayed in the National Museum. So hopefully, when we are allowed to go back to the museums or galleries, we'll be able to visit them again. Or if not, maybe the National Museum can come up with a virtual tour so that we can see the different exhibits featuring this artist. So again, the 5 artists, we have E. Aguilar Cruz, we have Francisco Coching, okay, Fabian de la Rosa, okay, Isabella Tampinco, and finally, Damian Domingo. So all of the books except for the E. Aguilar, I bought because I bought this in Anahaw online bookstore. For the rest, I bought it through the Vibal online bookstore. Right? So again, sorry if I sound too rushed, right? But thank you again for celebrating National Heritage Month. So mabuhay everyone. Enjoy Philippine history, enjoy Philippine society, enjoy Philippine culture, enjoy Philippine food. Paalam!